Two little girls left in a Southern California park. Their mother, just days earlier, murdered in Mohave County, Arizona. The two situations not tied together until nearly 36 years later. Now we are hearing from the people that helped save those two babies decades ago. I'm Ashley Holden. This is Arizona Crime Uncovered.
Yeah, that bothered me. It really did.
It was hard to understand how somebody could just put two babies on a wet bathroom floor and leave them. Like I said, they were victims at the time. They're survivors.
I hope they have closure in this case, that something comes of it.
ABC15 has done extensive coverage on this case. Two girls found in December 1989. At the time, their mom was a Jane Doe. In 2022, investigator Lori Miller with the Mohave County Sheriff's Office finally identified the woman as Marina Ramos. That's when she found out from family that Marina's daughters had also been missing. In August of this year, DNA and a genetic genealogy website led Miller to Marina's daughters, Elizabeth and Jasmin. They are alive and well, sitting down with me for extended interviews here on Arizona Crime Uncovered. Within the last month, I traveled to Oxnard, California, to Colonia Park, where the girls were found. I sat down with a police officer and city employee who helped rescue the girls from a park bathroom. Let's start first with Larry Acosta, who heard the girls' cries and knew something was wrong. Now, up until this point, Larry never knew what happened with the girls. He tried to find out, but due to privacy laws, he was unable to until we called him.
Take me back to that day, December 1989, when all of this happened. Well, you were working.
I was director at Colonia Park, and I had activities throughout the whole park. And I can't recall exactly why, but I had to keep walking back and forth from one end of the park to the other, from my office over towards the other end of the park. I remember on one of my trips, I didn't realize it was connected, but I saw this woman walking towards me. I didn't pay any attention to her, just another person in the park. And the thing that really caught my eye was she had on some very bright white boots. And that's what caught my attention. And then I noticed that she had a little toddler. Now, obviously she must have had the baby, but I don't recall. I just recall that, there was a toddler right alongside of her. So I ended up going to one end of the park. I'm coming back, and I hear a baby crying in the bathroom. So I just assumed that there was a woman in there, obviously, with a baby, and the baby was fussy, and I kept going. I did what I had to, and I'm coming back again across the park, and the baby's still crying. Wow, okay. So I went and did what I had to do, and here I go back across the park again, and this baby's still crying. I says, no, there's something. Oh, and at that moment, not only did I realize, no, something's wrong here, but there was the toddler came out of the bathroom and is wandering around the doorway, and it didn't seem right. So I go to the door and I'm yelling in there in case someone was in there, and nobody answered. So I walked into the bathroom, and at the far stall, I could hear the baby crying. And I walked over, and again, I called out. Maybe somebody was in there, but nothing. I squatted down, and I could see an infant laying on the concrete. I lifted her up, I grabbed the toddler and took him to my office, called police. They showed up later and they just taking a report, and they called child services. And after a while, it was maybe about a half hour or so, approximately, and child services came by. They asked me a couple of questions, and they took the two little girls. And I was always, curious as what became of them. So I knew this person that worked at child services And I called them up and I asked for information. They knew who I was, but they told me that through confidentiality issues, they could not give me any information. And so, to my knowledge, that was the end of it, you know. And now, here you are telling me, no, it's not the end of it, that we have some closure, which is great.
To know that they were adopted together and grew up actually not far here in Ventura County, I mean, what is it like to hear that after all these years?
That is wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. It really, it's just what can I say? I'm just happy for them, and it's a shame I never got to know this sooner, or maybe at one point I would have met them. But you know, I just, it was, to me, it was just something I needed to do, and I did what I had to do.
I know that Marina's family, their mom's family, you know, wanted to thank people like you that jumped in. I mean, they feel like you're a hero. What would you say to the girls today if you could see them?
Well, first of all, I'm not a hero. Let's make that very plain and clear. I would just ask them what they've done in their life now under the circumstances, you know. I'm happy that they were able to find again, I'm assuming, a good family, that they had a good life. Oh my God, that was what, 3 decades ago? I'm just happy for them. I'm very grateful that they've become what they've become, and hopefully something positive in their life and not something negative the way it started out.
I know that your wife was telling me that this stuck with you.
Yeah, that bothered me. It really did.
I showed Larry our stories and the girls he helped save, now in their 30s. As for the woman he saw the day the girls were left in the park, that's now an important clue in this big mystery. We'll revisit that later in this episode. While in California, I also walked around that Oxnard park with the first responding officer called to the scene all those years ago.
I was angry. I mean, I was a new officer, experiencing new things, different types of calls.
As a rookie cop, Scott Hebert was in new situations all the time. When I talked to him about the discovery of the girls, he said it angered him. Who could have left the girls in that bathroom? The retired Oxnard police commander first sitting down with us at Colonia Park, recalling that December day in 1989. Tell me how long you worked for the Oxnard Police Department.
I was a police officer for Oxnard for 27 years.
I want you to take me back to 1989. What was this park like in 1989?
It was very similar to how it is today. There's a few new buildings, but back in the day it was a little bit rougher than it is now. A little more gang activity, narcotic activity. Pretty busy for the department.
How often did you visit this park?
So when I first started working, my first 5 or 6 years in patrol, I spent probably half my time working this area of the city. So I spent a lot of time here in the park, in this neighborhood.
Back in December 1989, you were, one of the people that jump-started this case that I've been covering now for a few years. At that time, that you guys didn't know that. Take me back to the call. What happened when you found the 2 little babies in a bathroom?
So I was dispatched to the call. One of the park employees actually found the children in the bathroom. So I was the first police officer sent over. I wouldn't say a routine call, but it was a call for service. And so when I got here, I met with the park employee. He told me what he had found, which was the 2 children in the bathroom, laying on the floor in probably a couple inches of water. Pretty disheartening to think that somebody could do that to a couple of babies. So at that time, I did what, I was trained to do, which is to handle the call, make sure that the babies were taken care of and that the right resources were brought out. They appeared to be healthy, other than being in the wet clothing. And so at that point, it was, gather as much information about what took place, any evidence, and again, make sure the right resources were brought out to take care of them. I had to look back at my report. Fortunately, I was able to take a look at that. I do recall this specific call. It's one that, as a rookie police officer, it's going to stand out. It was new to me. And just the situation that the children were in is not going to leave. I mean, I'm always going to remember that. I didn't particularly remember the conversations I had with witnesses or their statements, but after looking at the report, I did recall that there were some specifics about the suspects that stood out and that may help out with the investigation.
Looking back, I mean, you guys had no idea that these two girls were tied to anything in Arizona.
No, again, when we picked them up, you know, the DNA was still fairly new. You didn't have social media, like you said. It was difficult to try and get them identified.
What did you think when you heard that they are the daughters of a murder victim?
It's sad that, first off, that they were left abandoned in the park, and then not knowing the circumstances for 36 years. I don't think I really thought a lot about it after the initial call. I mean, back then it was, we handled our call, we moved on, started the next day, you know, fresh. So I really didn't track what happened with them, but it was pretty amazing to see what their story is. It's sad that their mother was murdered. Hopefully, you know, we're able to, or the investigators are able to find the people responsible for this to help those kids get a little bit more closure.
After this interview, I walked the park with Bear to discuss this case and learned even more.
Their clothes were soaking wet because they'd been sitting, you know, laying on the floor in the water.
The place where Marina Ramos was found murdered is around 400 miles away from the Oxnard, California park where her daughters were found just days later. So why that park and who left them there? That's all a part of the investigation now.
But when I got here, the weather, I think, was fine. It wasn't a rainy day, but back in the day, I don't think the parks and the bathrooms and those types of things were taken care of as well as maybe they are these days. And so there was standing water in the bathroom. When I got here, I met the reporting party, Mr. Acosta. He had the children. I believe it was here at the bathrooms. Went in, looked at what the bathroom looked like, made notes in my report. Today, obviously, we would have the body cam. We'd have a lot more video or photographic evidence of the scene and the children, all those things. But, you know, 36 years ago, we weren't quite as advanced as they are today. From what I gather, it looks that about 2 o'clock in the afternoon is when they were dropped off here in the bathroom. And about 15 minutes later, Larry was walking by. He said he heard crying, came back, still heard it, and then asked somebody to come in and check to see, make sure the kids were okay, and that's when they were found.
For Arizonans that haven't been to Oxnard, how this park, it's off the beaten path is how you would describe it.
Yes, it's within the neighborhood. There are some main roads that border the neighborhood, but generally you would find that the people that are in here live here. Not a lot of folks from the outside coming in to hang out at this park. So yeah, it's a bit off the path and generally not a park that's frequented by people who don't live in the neighborhood.
I also asked about Bakersfield, California. That's where Marina's family is from. Police say they saw quite a few connections between people and even crime activity in Oxnard and Bakersfield. Now, we know that Marina lived an independent lifestyle that her family warned her against, but we don't know who she was with or who killed her, but that's an interesting tie between the communities. Back in 1989, police documented that 3 people, the woman Larry described earlier in white boots and a red skirt, along with 2 men, were at the park that day. Now, law enforcement believes there are people in California or even Arizona who may have tips, and they are hoping people will come forward. I also got quite a few questions about the paternal side of things. All of that is still being looked at. Another was, how did law enforcement not put 2 and 2 together with the girls and Marina Ramos' murder until this year? Well, as you heard the officer say, they didn't have social media, surveillance video, DNA, so many pieces of technology that could have helped. We want to again share how you can call in tips. This is the number to reach the Mohave County Sheriff's Office. We also want to hear from you. Do you have questions or anything you want to know about the case? You can comment on our social media or send me an email. There's my email right there. This is a case we have tracked for years. We will continue to follow it and bring you all the updates here on Arizona Crime Uncovered. Thank you for watching Arizona Crime Uncovered. We're working to bring awareness to crimes where victims are still awaiting justice and also provide an in-depth look at cases still unfolding. Each episode breaks down a timeline of the case, where it stands now, and if any help is needed from the community. You can watch on ABC15.com, the ABC15 mobile app, Roku, YouTube, or any of your other streaming platforms.